What's up, everybody? Welcome to Ron Line Report. Today's guest, you know this guy. How could you not know him? Sergio Oliva Jr., back in the United States where he belongs. No offense to you people in other countries. What's up, man? How are you?
What's up? I've been back for like a long time now. It's like almost a year.
I know. Yeah. Before we recorded, I had to like back up and say, what country we? I mix up Kuwait. I mix up Dubai. Spain, I don't mess up. I know where Spain is. That's over here somewhere.
Yeah.
So, and the last show you did prior to coming back at FIBO was the 23 Cali Pro.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so yeah, you just had a really good comeback. You know, I hate using that word because I feel like it's like a cliche in sports in general, but especially in bodybuilding. But you looked really, really good. Let's take a look at that for a second. And yet, this was your first prep with the new coach, Stefan Kinsel, Boss of Outlaw. He's got a very good track record for nailing it the first time out. So let's go to that video. Because you didn't have the video on your page, but Stefan had it on his. So here we are.
No, please don't play this. This is like the worst routine ever.
No, really? Okay.
Turn this shit off. Yeah. This is literally probably besides Legion, this is probably the worst worst routine I've ever done.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, this is a guy that won Best Poser at the Arnold twice.
Yeah, Ben. You know, honestly, I realized after the last time I won, I made a post about it after I won the Best Poser at the Arnold the second time. And it didn't even help me with my placing at all. Like, I don't think people should be beating other people because of doing posing routines. But I think if it's within 1 point, I think the guy who's now fucking his knees up and hurting himself, practicing, you know, on his off time to try and do a routine and a performance, it should benefit me somewhat. And I learned at that show, it doesn't matter anymore. So I actually haven't done a routine since that show.
Wow.
But this time I was like, you know what? I need to do a routine. I'm starting to love bodybuilding again. You know, I need to enjoy it. But I just been with traveling over there and trying to finish my routine. I really just started telling myself, like, I need to focus on other things that are a little bit more important. This is why
they don't judge. Posing is posing even judged at the Arnold? I know it was supposed to be, but I don't know if it really is.
Oh, it does. At the Arnold, you do get points.
Okay, good.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, why are we showing 2021? Let's get going.
Did you get Best Poser at that one? I think you did, didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
But Best Poser doesn't mean shit. That's the point of my conversation is. Show routines doesn't mean anything. I promise you, the judges are going to the bathroom, they're getting a drink, and so that's not going to dictate how I did. Is looking at a routine. But anyway, yeah. So the prep was good. It was probably the best prep of my life. And I was going to go back to what you were saying about not wanting to use the word comeback. In this case, for me, it was a comeback because I did more than just kind of come back to the stage. I really had a whole life change behind closed doors. And yes, Stefan is absolutely the guy for me. It works better with my body. But it was my life at home that changed, that really helped me really have the best prep ever.
Yeah, talk to me about that because you've made some posts, you showing your new, I don't know what people do. We still use the word girlfriend because I'm so old. I don't know what we can say and what we can't say anymore.
Well, I don't know. I'm married, so I don't know if it's girlfriend.
Oh, okay, you're married. Okay, well there you go. Your wife. All right, awesome. Mm-hmm. That's easy enough. Mm-hmm. I can't mess that one up. So this is your wife now. What's her name? Olivia.
Mm-hmm.
Olivia Oliva. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's got to be the most interesting name in bodybuilding, right? And I'll bet you $20 someone will still fuck up her last name.
Oliva. No, I think that's easy enough.
But funny because that's what everybody calls me is her name. And
Olivia.
Pronounce Oliva. They say Sergio Olivia, or if you're dumbass Tony Doherty and you announce me at my first Arnold and you say Sergio Oliver. So I think people have called me everything except Sergio Oliva on stage.
I find that hard to believe since we had a guy that was 3-time Mr. Olympia, your dad, named Oliva. And people have had plenty of time to digest that and know how the name is pronounced. But
you got to be around back then to even care about the name. So Bob doesn't mess it up. Lonnie Teeper didn't mess it up. Dennis James didn't mess it up at FIBO. But for the most part, everybody just messes it up.
I have heard Olivia. So, yeah, I mean, tell me about – because honestly, I think the one thing that's sort of slowed down your progress in your career has just been a lack of stability, a lack of support at home, if however you want to phrase that. Having the right woman in your corner. I know people think it's corny and old-fashioned. Maybe it's because I'm so old, but I honestly believe it can make or break somebody, especially a professional athlete in a sport like this that's so demanding. If you have someone that's sort of working against you or sabotaging you in little ways, which I've seen a lot of times over the years with couples, versus someone who's in your corner, believes in you, supporting you, it can make a world of difference. Has that been the case with you and your wife?
I mean, yeah, she's all of that, but it doesn't mean that that's not what I had necessarily before. I'm not a guy like some of these guys that you see them with girls and they make them feel bad about going to the gym and they feel jealous about, doing shows. Like those are the hugest red flags. Any bodybuilder who's still with a girl who makes them choose between bodybuilding and them you're just an idiot to even pretend that that's going to work. So I never had a situation like that. I never had anyone who wasn't believing in me and supporting me and stuff like that. And I'm very grateful. Ron, you should know as many interviews we've done, I was with the same person almost my entire life, for almost like 20 years. And it's not a thing of someone doing anything wrong. And you can look at like past relationships, like Jay and his ex-wife. It was, your lives can just go separate ways and you can still support each other. And still, even my ex, she's still helping run the business. She's still one of my best friends. It's not on any kind of bad terms. It's just after a while, it turns into where, is this really what people want to do? Or are they just doing it because they love you? And I realized after a while that the people that were in my life, including Katie, my best friend, which I don't think I've ever seen you not with her. It's just, this isn't what they want to do. They're just doing it because they care about me and they believe in me so much, but it's not their passion. It's not what gives them joy. And then it turns into this kind of like where they're having to choose. And, even if you do things like you're just not dating, you're not together, let's just focus on the business. Now I'm also hurting them, because now they can't find somebody. They can't date somebody. Nobody's going to come up to them. My workout partner for 8 years was a girl, my best friend. Who's going to come approach her to ask her on a date when I'm next to her, And I like it because I can go to the gym and I can focus and no one's going to distract me. But it's just turned into one of those things where we just had to go our separate ways. And exactly, now they're a lot happier and they're doing better, but there's no bad terms or nothing bad ever happened to me. I mean, except for my ex-wife and that whole thing with Australia years ago, no one's done anything wrong to me. It's just, there's certain situations that happen. You get injured, you get stuck in a country, you fucking, like me getting stuck in Australia, whose fault is that? That's not anyone's fault. I went there to compete in the Arnold, So sometimes certain circumstances, like getting injured in Spain, like I got injured. Like it's the first time that I ever got injured in my life. It just happened to be right when I was going to come back and do a show. The Dubai situation, is that my fault? Like the guy crashed into me and then someone else ran him over? No, I just happen to live in a country where their due diligence on stuff is shit, and they have to put everybody in jail before they figure things out. And they just do things different than us. It doesn't mean that I did anything wrong in Dubai. And if I did, I would still be stuck there. I would never got out of jail. It's just like, we're so used to, like you were talking about Kuwait and Dubai and not understanding the difference. We're American. So everywhere we go, we bring America with us in our head and our mind and the laws that we know. And to us thinking like, if you got into an accident here in the States and 2 other cars got into an accident as well, and one of them died and you had nothing to do with that, and you went to jail, it would blow your mind in America because it doesn't make any sense. Right. You could even kill someone in America and then you still don't go to jail until you go to court. Right. So a situation like that where I didn't even run somebody over, but they put everybody in jail, that's just what they do. So these are all things that have just happened to me in my life. And look, some of the things like me choosing to stick around with people, choosing to, continue to do things, Dorian really helps me learn that those are my fault. Even if you think that you're doing something right or you're doing something, in love, you could be hurting yourself. And so I put myself in those positions. But really the biggest setbacks in my life, it's just circumstances. And look, it's going to be one of those things when I do finish the story and I do kill it, because now I am the healthiest I've ever been. I feel the best I've ever been. My house is the best it's ever been. Then everybody's going to say, wow, what a crazy story. Because that's how it is like you can have all these bad things happen to you. And if you don't make it, they're excuses. Right. Not that I've ever made a post ever once like, oh, I didn't do good because of this. I have only said because of me or something I did, or I need to do better. I have never used any kind of excuse for these things happening, but they've happened. Yeah. And now if I win the Arnold, or even first call on the Olympia, now it's like, damn, he went through all that and then got there. The narrative changes completely right away, but that's on me to finish the story out and finish it, the right way.
Yeah. So I remember the shoulder thing. Can you refresh my memory? What happened to you? What was the diagnosis? Did you have surgery? And how long was the rehab?
No, I actually tweaked it a little bit training with Dorian, and I even stopped training shoulders and chest with him. It's just like for my age to train that heavy duty, it benefited me in a lot of areas that are really good. And there's a lot of things that I'm still doing with back that I learned from him that I'll do forever. And I'm paying it forward and teaching other people about it. But some of the stuff like on your joints, primarily my shoulder, it was just a little rough. And I had to then take a break, like I said, and then it was just getting better. Like I just finally did military press, almost 315. I remember even looking at my girl like, yeah, we're back, and because that was the only thing holding me back. And literally, I think it was like 2 days later, I'm walking and I've had this like, it's not an injury, but it's just something my body does. It's from all the track and field and football that I did. My ankle will roll out on its own like nothing. It's just, it is what it is. I mean, I've probably torn so many things in it from doing it so many times and then continue to play football in high school that now it just rolls so easy. It just happened to be where I did it in the gym and then fell on my shoulder. So that irritated it, I mean, severely to where I couldn't even raise my arm at all. And so that was the weirdest thing, is that it literally felt like it was destroyed, broken, torn, can't lift it up to even wash underneath when I'm taking a shower. I couldn't put deodorant on. But I went to go get an MRI and it was nothing. It was just really bad, inflamed. And it was just one of those things that I just had to go to rehab now. So I started going to rehab in Spain. And that was really hard for a while. I got insane amount of gigantic needles stuck into my shoulder for whatever, cortisone and anti-inflammatories. And it wasn't until, and this is the best part about FIBO, Ron, is that I didn't even do incline press until it was like almost February. I didn't do a pull-up or a lat pull down until December. Wow. So only since January have I been able to really properly train my chest, really been able to really do actual lats. And so now what you see at FIBO is like an underdeveloped. I mean, obviously I was a little flat too. That definitely doesn't help. But they're also just muscles that aren't caught back up. There's a difference of being injured and you torn something, that's never going to come back. It's just not, and especially at my age. This is just something where I just stopped training it. And I need to, now that I'm training it back 100%, that I'll be fine. So really what people are seeing is just kind of me just getting back in the game. Yeah. And then this new coach now trying to learn my body. And so from now until my next show is going to be me on all cylinders, not having to baby something, does this hurt? I must have went to every single therapist in Vegas. And shout out to Flex Wheeler, actually, because when I first got here, I was so small and I also could not turn my arm to do a front double. So I hadn't done a front double literally for, I don't even know, 7 months. Wow. And I was just talking to him randomly and he was just like, hey, I know this guy. This guy put this, I posted it. It's like a glove and it's like shocking my whole shoulder. He's taking a hammer, hammering my shoulder, and I did a front double right away, immediately. And so whatever it was that he released, it just made me be able to, I don't know, So that's what saved me, was that therapist, actually. But the BPC and TB500, for anyone out there that is having any kind of injuries or things that you're worried about surgery, that's where it's at. That saved my legs. That's where my legs were the best improved. From, if you go to that 2023 Cal to FIBO, the legs are almost twice as big. And it's just because I wasn't able to train them with my meniscus. So the TB helped my knee, the BPC and TB helped my shoulder. So to answer your question, yeah, that's what saved it. No surgery, no nothing. Just being smart, taking time off, everyone telling me that I'm done, losing my stock. Nobody gives a shit about me. And then now I'm healthy and 100%. Whereas if I kept training, I would be done. This would be something that I'd be dealing with for the rest of my career. And you can't train with a bum shoulder.
Dude, trust me, I need a replacement. I wouldn't wish this pain on anybody in the world. It's like someone stabbing you in the shoulder 24/7.
But you knew about it, and that's how it is with all of us. We always know about it a long time ago, and then we kind of tell ourselves it'll get better, because sometimes some injuries do come and then they just disappear. Yeah. And then some you can work around, some will warm it up. You can only butcher balm and BPC and TB500 something so much, and you got to listen to your body, bro.
Okay, so thanks for explaining that. But so now that leads me to ask, you only had a couple months of really solid training. Once the shoulder issue was resolved, why'd you come back so soon? why didn't you just wait a few more months and get some more training under your belt?
You learn more from doing shows, than anything. And no matter what, it was about to be a long time since I had done a show. And I wanted to do, for two reasons. One, Stefan had recommended that show. So that was already something that if I never had a coach ever in my life ask me about a show. I just picked them, told Aceto, hey, this is what we're going to do. And that's what we did. So I never had anyone message me and was like, it's showing that they're thinking about what plans they have for me. Or, that really meant a lot. How much this guy cares about me. And we just did one show together. I don't even understand. But also number two was also while my stock had dropped and nobody gave a shit about me, every sponsor dropped me except Gym 80. Gym 80 is the only company that kept me paying my bills here in Vegas. And one of them, including Black Skull, who really screwed me over, they knew that I was moving to America. They knew that when I worked, they came here for the Olympia, that they were running out of money. They knew that when I went to Brazil and spent my birthday working the expo, that they were running out of money. And so just not even giving me a heads up, like, hey, we're going to drop you even in 3 months, even 2 months notice, it put me in a real bad damper right before Christmas. They called me 4 days before Christmas and told me that they were dropping me. And that was my biggest income coming in. So really, Gym 80 is the only reason why anybody is even talking about me right now, because I was able to finish the job. I mean, look, there's a lot of other things behind it, like me killing it, my wife killing it, my trainer killing it. But really, financially, I would have never been able to have made it there. And now everyone's like, oh, man, maybe Sergio's got something left in him, when I wouldn't even have been able to have that. So Gym 80 was the main sponsor of FIBO. That's like their home, Germany. And so I really wanted to make sure that I was there for them. And I really wanted to win that show. I honestly wanted to win that show more for them than I wanted to win myself. I just needed to get it back on stage and finally look like what I look like in the gym. If you look at those pictures that I posted from the past years, it doesn't mean, especially the abs one. The abs one is the most, I think, difference. People think when you bodybuild and you get on stage and you look bad, they think that that's what you looked like the 2 weeks before, that you literally looked at that mashed potato stomach and said, you know what? I think I'm going to go into the Arnold. They don't understand that could have been messed up 3 hours or 2 hours even before. And so that Arnold, where everyone's just like, oh, wow, you're a lot fuller. That's the worst placing I ever got, because that's just a good photo. But if you look at the abs and thighs from that show, the back poses is so sloppy because I spilled over completely. So, now, right, I just have everything right. And that's all that matters to me. I just need to look like what I look like in the gym for the first time in my life. If I did my whole career, I said this on Dennis James' show, the biggest letdown for me, I know people will want me to be, I mean, look at that. It's disgusting. So everyone in 2021, when I did the lat spread, including you, were like, oh, wow, that's a better look. Yeah. That's one pose. That's one lat spread pose. You have abs and thighs that looks like I am pregnant. And then imagine what the back looked like. Yeah. Completely different structure to the 2025 today. And so for me to go into FIBO and just look like what I looked like was enough for me. I was happy.
Yeah. I mean, it was a fuller look, I think, in 2021. I think that's what really caught people's attention. The bigger, fuller look. Because, you're a tall guy. You have a big frame. So when you're full, it's so impressive. Like FIBO, I would love the condition, but I was like, man, I wish he was fuller, especially in the, now that I understand exactly what was going on with the shoulder and everything, it makes perfect sense why I was like, what's happened to Sergio's chest? I know he has a thicker set of pecs than that, but now it all makes sense. So, what's the plan now? I mean, how many do you have another show in mind? Does Stefan have another show in mind? Because
yeah, of course. And that's what I was going to say too, is like, I mean, what do you expect me to do? And you think I'm going to because it's the same weight. Well, you were talking about where I look fuller and FIBO is the same weight.
Wow.
But nobody's talking about the legs though. It's like fuller chest. Why are quads not more important than chest? And what it is because if I had chest and I didn't have quads, we'd be talking about the quads. We just talk about what's missing and we can't really appreciate what is even doubled. And so that's why my weight is the same. It's because my legs are so much bigger.
Yeah. I remember making a comment. I can't recall where I did it. Might have been on when I was covering the show for my channel. But I said, the weird thing is a lot of times guys 40 and over, you start to see the legs go away. And Sergio's legs look as good, if not better than ever. And now I know it all makes perfect sense. They're better than ever.
I mean, when your shoulders, you have a bum shoulder, you're obviously going to focus more on legs. But it really was just me fixing my leg. I mean, that's actually how I really got close with my wife. Because when I was in Dubai, this guy was telling me, he saw on my story that my knee was hurting me, and he said, I can tape it for you. I tried KT tape 100 million times because I was a track runner. And it's shit. It doesn't for me, it didn't do anything. That I'll say that. And so what he was telling me is this is like a different tape. See, it's a different tape.
Huh.
And then the way you tape it, it's just helping me stay aligned when I'm training, and also walking. Walking sometimes was actually irritating my meniscus more than the actual training was, because it's the side left and right that really irritates that meniscus, not the up and down. And so my wife, who wasn't even someone I was even really talking to, she saw that I was driving so far in Dubai to go. I would drive like 45 minutes, have this guy tape my knee, then drive back to the gym, do legs. But I was having the best leg days. And she was like, hey, you know, I used to do that. I can do that for you, so you don't have to drive that far. So she started taping it for me. And that's actually how we started. That's how we met.
Wow.
So if it wasn't for my torn meniscus, I would not be married.
Wow. I mean, coming back to torn meniscus and you're squatting 405 here for great reps. That's, God love you.
Yeah, just a couple weeks before the show. I was doing 5 plates as well before. But, you know, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what weight you're doing. You know, if you're really a veteran workout person, you know the difference of being able to train and when you can really go into that movement. You know, you're really stretching into it. You're really, the next rep, you're like, you know what, I can even make it a little bit lower, a little bit more deeper, whatever it is. And so being able to train like that again is the best part, because I've been training since Legion, and that Arnold you keep showing the routine of, I've been training in like a timid, scared way, you know, like, does this hurt? No. And then we keep going, you know, does this hurt? No. You know, keep going. If it hurts, stop. Now, I mean, fuck, bro, knock on wood, I'm doing everything and anything I want. And this is only, remember, I also messed my leg up. I meant to say that too, that my shoulder got messed up. But when I rolled that ankle, it was humongous for like a month. I couldn't walk on it. My girl had to help me go to the bathroom. It was really bad. So I had a bum leg and a bum shoulder. So I didn't even train legs until I moved to Vegas. So the legs are only less than a year.
Jeez.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So back to the question is like, how much, you know, ideally, how much time would you take now to train to just, now that everything seems like you're firing on all cylinders and there's no limitations anymore, how long do you feel like you would need before you want to start another prep?
Yeah, because that's what I was going to say is like, look, what I focused on, I improved on. Like, I was doing the best that I could with my back, and I was doing the best that I could with my chest for what I was given. But now that I feel like really confident with my legs, I'll keep doing that. But now I can really switch the focus back onto my chest and mostly my back. I think also because I'm a lot wider and a lot like taller, I need to just have super, super dense muscles in the back. So for me to get shredded, I need to just be super thick. So yes, we could have been fuller. Yes, we could have maybe tweaked a couple of things, you know, us being our first show. But no matter what, I have structural issues that I need to train in the gym. And so, I mean, I can ask you, Ron, how long does it take for a muscle to grow?
Well,
a couple weeks, you know, there's no way.
Exactly. Months. Yeah.
It's a couple months. Yeah. So why am I going to do another show? You know, like someone even messaged me like, oh, you should do this show. And the 4th place in Dubai is this amount. Like, who thinks that I'm still doing this shit for money? Like, I'm trying to go to the Olympia, and that's what's important to me, let alone talking about a fucking 4th place. So I want to qualify for the Olympia this year, and that's all that matters to me. So I'm back to training. I've changed a lot with my training as well. And so now I want to see how stupid I can get my back. My chest, if I don't change nothing, Ron, it's going to be back to normal by the time I do another show. Because not being able to do incline presses, especially dumbbells, once, it's really impressive that my chest was even what it was. I was like so close to, for the first time in my life, I'm going to synthol my chest because it was so fucking strong. But so I don't even really need to change much with my chest. I just need to stay on it. But my back, bro, I'm really going to kill it. And let's see what I can do if I train for 3 months, destroy my back, keep doing what I'm doing with my legs. Even Tyler on his recap, you know, he even talked about, you know, that I had a really good showing. And Tyler doesn't give out much compliments. It's not his thing.
He's stingy with the compliment. He only if it's genuine, you know, it's genuine if Tyler says it, because he would just not say anything.
Absolutely. Exactly. So yeah, give me a few months. Let me get back into the gym. Let me hop into one of these shows, maybe the end of summer, qualify for the Olympia, and then see what I really can look like.
I meant to ask, I know we only touched on Stefan very briefly, but how did you end up working with Stefan? He's until a couple of years ago, I never heard the guy's name, but now, my God, he's like the coach. So how did you become a?
It's because you follow the big guys more. It was the same with me too, because he's already been Urz's guy, Wesley Visser's, and it wasn't really until Nathan and Bonock. Really, Bonock's the person who actually really convinced me more than anything. Taking a Martin and making Martin look good, like it's a very impressive, but it is less impressive than Bonock coming back from his age. I mean, it's just to do the things that they did, they're just impossible. Martin trains harder than anybody. You almost have to kind of like try to mess it up to like mess that guy up. And so to see Bonock's legs get bigger, and then when I talk, because I've known Bonock for a long time, he's been one of those guys that for whatever reason, whenever he saw me backstage, he would just help me out. He would give me, whatever tips. So we've always kind of like been friends. And when I messaged him after, remember last year, he won a show, beat Nathan, then Beirut. It was like all those 3 shows that Nathan, Beirut, and Bonock were going against each other. Yep. I messaged him after those. And I was just like, how did this 40-something-year-old guy get his legs bigger? And he was just saying that, yeah, man, Stefan made him and every one of his clients, including me, you do less. You just do less, man. It's so crazy. And now it's funny because Regan's, here in Vegas, and we now have also switched to Stefan for the first time. And me and Regan are almost the same height, almost the same weight. Yeah. So it's very similar. And yeah, he's saying the same thing where that's what I would do. I would message him, can I do more cardio? No. I would even sometimes message to do less carbs. And he would say no. And, Regan's going through the same thing now where he's like begging for an extra 10, 15 minutes more cardio, but he won't give it. And Bonock's legs look the best they ever have. My legs look the best they ever have. And I was doing 2 hours on the stairs every day. It's just so nuts to think to do less and do better, but I guess we're so hard-headed.
Yeah. Because you worked with Chris for, was it 10 years you were working with him?
Only Chris, even since before I was an amateur.
Wow. So, yeah. It must have been tough to try someone completely new that you had no experience with.
Yeah. So yeah, right. You asked me, how did I get teamed up with him? I'm sorry. So honestly, I actually had tried another coach here locally, and I just thought, exactly, I need to try something new. Because also what I wanted to figure out too is, am I done? Because look, if this is a thing where I can never look like what I look like in the gym on stage, then maybe it's something with me, because right, the 2020 Arnold, that was like one of my best looks. Like we killed it at that show. New York obviously was sick. But look, let's be real. Every single other show, every single other one was either second or third. I've only placed first, second, or third in every single one of my shows. I've never been in a second call out. The only time that was really bad was actually that Arnold that everybody wants to tell me is the best, which is my worst placing ever in my life.
Wow.
So yeah, we killed it. And look, we'd all be having a way different narrative if those second places were first. Because then now Sergio won Chicago. He won Tampa. Yeah. Like those are second places. And I would have won the Cal, Tampa, Chicago, and New York. I mean, I don't know what else there is in the States, And so now that changes Chris, that changes me, when we didn't do anything wrong. It's just there was a lot of things that maybe like messed it up a little bit at the end. But no matter what, it was time for me to do a completely different shock to my body. I needed to go to something completely opposite. So I thought I would try someone local here in Vegas, someone that I could see, I could train with them. They could see my body. I don't think I've ever prepped with Chris and he's changing my diet in person. It's always photos, and then it was weird. It was exactly like you said. It was already scary for me to switch. And also Chris is like a father figure to me. So it's not even just losing or changing coaches. It's really changing the only positive male role model I've had in my life. And that was a big thing for me. And now I'm with this new coach and he literally could not give a shit any less about me. Wow. And I'm one of those guys where I'm just like, you know what, he's busy. I'm the new guy in the team. I need to be patient. But after you're waiting for months for a diet, it starts to turn into where I'm an idiot. And so it's so funny. This is how life works. I'm literally talking to Brett and Martin at the Olympia here last year. or they came early, you know, for the Olympia. And I was telling them exactly what I'm going through. And I'm literally talking to them like, yeah, but you know, like he's got this person in Olympia and that person in Olympia. Like, I don't want to bother him, you know? And it wasn't until they were like, it's been how long and you haven't got a diet? Like, bro, you're stupid. And it wasn't until they said that to me, I realized you can also be like, look, there's guys that are like, you didn't respond back to me in fucking 30 minutes and then they're mad. There's guys that switch coaches every show. I'm like the complete opposite. I stay with somebody too long. I have too much patience, you know, letting people kind of like not be stressed about prepping me. When in reality, I should have been like, I mean, hello, like, yo, what the fuck? And it wasn't until you have people who are at your level and your boys telling you, like, what are you doing? That I like snapped out of it. And it was so crazy. The next day, I literally was just like almost out of it. I went to the gym. And guess who was at the gym? Stefan.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I don't even know if I even said what's up to him. I think I just kind of like nodded because he was there, you know, looking at his clients. And he was immediately just telling me like how great he thinks I could be. And then he pulls up. He's like, hold on a second. Swipes his finger for like 45 seconds. And now he's showing me all these photos that he took of me at one of the Arnolds with his own phone from his seat, because he was just so impressed by me that he wanted those for me. He wasn't posting them. He wasn't to send to me. Wow. And it was just so crazy that I'm literally trying to now beg my coach that I'm paying to send me something. And this guy is already now making me feel so good about myself. I was like, man, this guy's so great. I went home, I told my wife, and she's like, just switch. Like, how long are you going to wait around? You know? And so I did. I asked him if he would prep me, and then we started right away. It was so crazy how it happened, but I would have never, ever left, let alone switched to Boss if he wasn't there that day.
Wow. I mean, I believe everything happens for a reason. People put God or whoever, whatever you want to believe, higher power puts people in the right place at the right times. And yeah. You know, going back to the shows in the second places, was it 2018 where you did Chicago and then Tampa? They were like a couple weeks apart, and you got second.
Yeah, because that's when I went to the Olympia.
That, honest to God, you could have won both of those shows. I remember
easily. Right.
At the very end, it was just you and Lockett over and over, just like posing to see. I think Tyler was head judge or Steve. It doesn't matter who the head judge was. Worked the hell out of you guys, and I was like, it was clear they couldn't make up their minds, because it could have gone either way. So I'm thinking, why did it? It was mind-boggling. Why did it go to Michael? He's got a great physique and everything, but I mean, and then 2 weeks was it 2 weeks later when Alexis, is that his name, Roland?
Yeah, Rodriguez, yeah, with those quads.
I mean, he looked great too, but I mean, geez, I'm like, wow, because you should have more than one pro. I'm not shitting on the judges; they do a great job. It's a tough job, but you should have more than one. You have one pro win, the New York Pro, right? Your pro debut.
It's crazy. And then everything else is second and third. So everything else, I'm just one place or two places away. Look, if you're not first, you're last. But if you know bodybuilding, you know there's people that show up to shows that get first, and it's because nobody was there.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so like it just happens that way. And look at FIBO. Look, the whole bodybuilding judging panel would have to have changed if you take one guy out. So you take Andrew out. Sasan's winning that show because he's so shredded, he's so peeled, he's winning. You take Sasan out, man, I think I could beat Andrew because it would have been the same big person to big person. He improved a lot at the night show. So I don't know, maybe he would have came back and won, but I think now you're comparing oranges and oranges. It's a completely different type of judging. You have two tall people. So right, if you look at Tyler's recap, he won a lot because he out-muscled Sasan. Yes. So that means I would have won the side poses then because I'm more conditioned than what he was. And so this prejudging is really bad. But if you look at the pictures that I posted, somebody put our photos next to each other, which I'm really glad that they did because it really showed the difference.
Is that on your page?
Yeah, I posted it. And it's funny because the guy who posted it hates me. And he posted great side-by-sides with me and Andrew. No, you missed it.
Did I miss it?
Yeah, go up.
Okay.
Back to the left.
There we go. There we go. Wow.
It took Sasan out and then this is at the night show because I got a lot better at the night show and the lighting was way better. I would say FIBO's prejudging lighting is the worst lighting in all of IFBB.
You called it RV Expo. Was that what RV
Yeah,
Expo?
the trailer park lighting. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's accurate. I'll
Right.
take it. Yeah,
So now this show is completely different. It's just different judges, and he could still win. You know, he's just such a dominant person. But I'm just saying it's completely different now because now the person he's getting points for being bigger. He's not that much bigger.
No. Yeah, it's because I don't think you were ever actually directly next to him, were you?
Not at night. No.
No.
They did another one where they brought out that guy Justin. So there was 4 of us.
Yeah.
And then so even this guy, it's the bodybuilding Nutella. Yeah, shout out to him because he for sure has disliked me and the Fernando and they all hate my guts. They will wait till I'm like mid pose, post a fucking shitty pose of me, and then they'll put the best pose ever existed of the other person. And it's fine, I get it because of the engagement, I'm sure it makes people go nuts.
Yeah.
But I was really shocked that somebody who disliked me actually made me feel good because I hadn't seen these until he put these. And if Andrew has the best abs and thighs ever since Sean Ray, I should be getting shitted on in this pose. It's my first show back. And
your quads are actually, I'd probably give you the quads.
Lose that pose. He could be 50% and still win that pose. I'm not saying he's losing this pose. I'm just saying that it's different now. It's different. It's different judging. So that's the cool thing about bodybuilding, though. You can have different people, different sizes, and then they compare a little bit better. Or you have maybe now different sizes, and now it's just on condition.
True. Yeah. I mean, look, Andrew was like, I don't know, slightly tighter, but this is, he got shit on because people were saying that was guest posing shape, and he wasn't that. If you look at the Arnold from, was it like 8 weeks before, he wasn't that much leaner at the Arnold. I've never seen Andrew like diced out of his mind ever. He's one of those guys because of the size and the shape and the structure.
Exactly. But that's what I'm saying is that, some people, they are like that.
I mean, I remember Flex Wheeler beating a lot of people when he was like 85%.
And Cormier. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, rightfully so, because it's not just a conditioning contest. There's probably guys in the third call out of this show who are better conditioned than guys in the top 5.
I mean, I've been saying it since Legion when Clarita beat me and Regan.
Right.
Beating me, for sure, I looked horrible. But Regan should have won that show because it's like we stopped giving credit to building muscle. Like that's also not something that also took years. So Andrew and his amount of muscle is not from on accident. It is not some kind of like thing that he was born like that. That took a lot of hard work. So being able to have such crazy size, we need to reward it as well. And now if it's close, like super close, yes, give it to the guy who's more conditioned. But if you outweigh somebody by 100 pounds and they're just slightly more conditioned than you, Regan should have won that Legion show. You can give me third all day. It's fine.
That was no exaggeration. I think he actually was 100 pounds heavier than Sean.
We both were. Yeah.
You guys were around 275 or something, both of you?
Yeah, I was even more than that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So you're saying your weight has been fairly consistent over the years, huh?
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's not because of like something good. It's just because now I lost weight in my upper body and my legs got bigger. So, but what does that mean though? That means that my next show I'm going to be the most conditioned because also remember too, this is my wife's first prep. I don't have to tell any bodybuilder, NPC or IFBB, retired or current competing, that your first prep with your woman is just your first prep. There's things that happen that it's not good or bad. It's not anything like that. It's just so many learning experiences. There's so much to understand about now your spouse going through these like phases in their life. Luckily enough for me, I'm not like an angry guy. I just get so dead tired. It is just like such a lethargic where if you're not really secure in your relationship, you're not going to understand that that's just a normal temporary thing. So no matter what, this was her first prep to learn everything. And she absolutely killed it. This is not only her first prep with me, it's her first prep doing any kind of bodybuilding. So she's already going to be better. We're already going to be better. Stefan's going to be better. And now exactly, if I just don't fuck up my lower body, now I'm able to now put more weight on my upper body. And I think I'm going to now be the heaviest I've ever been. So if I'm the heaviest I've ever been, the most conditioned I've ever been, and my home life, I'm the happiest I've ever been, then you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to fucking be happy.
Right on. I mean, because I hate to put the age thing out there because I'm way older than you, but you'll be 41 in what is it, October?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the clock's kind of ticking. It's 40's not like it used to be, obviously. It's like the new 30, but you don't have a whole lot of time to really fulfill the Sergio Oliva prophecy that we've.
I don't think anyone amount of years is ever going to fulfill that Oliva prophecy. I think that's the catch about it. It's impossible. I would have to win 4 Olympias, more than my dad, for it to ever be something. And so luckily enough, I'm able to swallow that and understand that I'm going to do my legacy of what I want to do, not anything to do with my dad. But yeah, no matter what, you're right. I got 4 or 5 years at the most. Sean won it at the oldest.
That's right. Sean was 44, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think Dickerson had been the oldest before him. Chris Dickerson was like 43.
Yeah, and that doesn't count because that was almost like a men's physique competition. No disrespect to Chris because he is such a good guy.
I mean,
but it was, no matter what.
Just so the younger viewers, because I'm sure a lot of them have no sense of Olympia history. One of the Olympias your dad won, people were so afraid that literally nobody showed up to compete against him.
Yeah, one of them. Yeah, it was back when Guinness used to actually honor bodybuilding. They don't care about us anymore. Yeah. But it was actually a Guinness World Record of winning a Mr. Olympia title uncontested. Look, let's be real. It's because second place, I think, was like $200. It wasn't even worth to go. But yeah, to be that dominating, that one, you made Larry Scott retire. And then, which he's talked about. And then, right, one of them, nobody showed up because it was so ridiculous. And then the other one is him beating Arnold. Yeah,
there were two people. He won one uncontested. The other one of the other two was just him and Arnold, 2 guys. He beat one guy, and I think even the other one was, the Olympia back in those early days was there just weren't that many pro bodybuilders in the world. There was like a handful of them, so it was totally complete.
They were in the short class.
That's right, the short class. I forgot about that. Yeah, they used to have a short and a tall class at the Olympia.
I guess 212 is a nicer way of saying that.
They also had a lightweight and a heavyweight for a couple of years. They tried that because Robbie Robinson won the heavyweight Olympia one year. Mike Mentzer won the heavyweight Olympia one year, but Zane beat them both of those times, Frank Zane.
I didn't even know that. At an Olympia, they had a weight class.
70, I think they only did it in the late 70s when Zane was winning. And, to this day, I'm a big Zane fan, but I don't understand how we beat Mike Mentzer at his best and Robbie Robinson at their best. So they were amazing. You talk about men's physique competitors. Frank's way smaller than most of the men's physique guys now. That's a whole other topic, but we're not going to get into.
Yeah, Frank looks like the guy who just won that natural Mr. Olympia, and then he retired. I forgot that guy's name. I don't follow him.
John Hansen?
No. He's like a younger guy. He's he's got like 1 billion followers. But yeah, that's his thing, is that he's been natural forever. He just won the natural Olympia.
Oh, I didn't know they still had a natural Olympia. Huh.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, you're right, exactly. But that's the beauty of bodybuilding, because now people that are diehard Frank Zane fans, they got into bodybuilding because of him. It gave hope to people that had a certain shape, and it also taught us too the art of illusion in bodybuilding is almost more important than how big your muscles are, because how you stand. I mean, look, the lighting back then. Don't even get me started. So that also helped. You stand under a spotlight. My little sister can look like she's a bodybuilder. But you shift your hips a little bit, turn your legs a little bit, hide this. That is also bodybuilding. And we've got away from that because now we're on microscope, zoom in on this guy's lines on his ass. And if he doesn't have enough, he's not conditioned. Where, no matter what, this is the evolution of the sport. And this is better, that is better. It doesn't matter, because we wouldn't have what we have today if we didn't have that evolution go through. If we didn't have a Gaspari, a lot of the guys today would not even be doing well in bodybuilding. I mean, the whole 90s would have been completely different if Gaspari didn't show us what glutes could really look like.
True. Yeah, it was like that. Was it 3-minute mile? Until the first guy ran a 3-minute mile back in the 60s.
Oh, right.
It was considered Roger Bannister. People thought it was impossible. Everything's evolved. And, obviously you trained with Tom Platz. Tom, until Tom Platz came along, nobody was trying to get huge legs. Nobody. That's why we look at this pumping iron guys and go, my legs are bigger than that. And yeah, because they weren't trying to get these 33-inch quads. That's why, if they had, they probably would have had bigger quads. But
exactly right. It's the same thing with the men's physique guys. Of course, I would have the best abs and back ever if I don't have to now do hamstring day, glute day, quad day. Like I'm doing abductors, glutes, And men's physique guys don't do that. And of course, their backs. I mean, some of these men's physique guys have way better backs than I do. It is very incredible. Brandon Hendrickson just moved to Vegas. He's from Chicago, where I'm from. So me and him have literally been training from the same gym that we started. And this guy was like, I mean, I think he weighed less than my wife does. And now they say that, you know, he's like one of the guys that brought muscle to men's physique because he does. He has quads. He trains his lower body. So some of these men's physique guys are pretty badass. But the rest of them, you have such a tiny waist because you don't do leg press heavy. You don't do squats heavy, deadlifts, all those distending stomach exercises that you have to do to stand next to these behemoths in the open. It does mess your stomach up. And I've tried everything, like where you just keep your belt on, but then it just actually gives you a hernia. It's a slippery slope of once you're over 280. People need to understand that there's bodybuilding 275 and under and over 275. It's just a completely different animal.
Yeah, that reminds me of one thing I want to ask. I've been having this argument, discussion, whatever you want to call it. Do you believe that a bigger, heavier guy, like a 270, 280-pound guy on stage, is it that much harder for them to get conditioned versus someone who's 220, 230?
I mean, yeah, we already know that. That's like saying when the skinny guys have abs. It's like fat girls with boobs. Like it's so much easier. It doesn't count. But also, I think what the amount of tissue that you're putting on to try and now thin it out to make it look if you had a competition of all over a certain weight and all under a certain weight, the condition would be different. But if you stand next to who would be the Derek? What does Derek weigh? In the 240, 250?
He's probably about 240.
Man, that's crazy. That's so crazy. But he is paper thin, you know? So when you stand next to him, I'm also, or whoever it is would be paper thin, but they weigh 30, 40 more pounds. It's just a different look. It doesn't mean that he's more shredded. And so I think that's more that is the confusing part, is that you have to stand next to the guys who are smaller, and then it makes your condition look like it's worse. Because are we going to say this year Samson's not the best example, but like let's say Samson from before, you know, his most shredded. I don't can he get more shredded? Can he like literally do it? We want him to, and we think he can, but what if it's a thing where he just actually can't? And this is the most dried, you know, version that we've seen of him. Well, we won't know until he's done with his career, but he's got a lot of tissue on him. He's in the 290s. Like what?
He said he was 305 at that Olympia that he won last year.
That's like an unbelievable amount of weight. But then because we have Ronnie Coleman, it's like, well, you should be able to look like Ronnie Coleman. If you take Ronnie Coleman out of bodybuilding, everything changes. How much weight you should be training with, how your form should look like, what your back should look like. It really kind of like helped and hurt bodybuilding, because if you're a big guy, then you should be able to look like Ronnie Coleman, right? You know, it's easy.
That's right. Jay Cutler's famous quote about Ronnie that I'll never forget. He says, Ronnie ruined it for everybody because he was such an anomaly in so many ways that people are going to compare everyone to Ronnie. It's like comparing a regular sword to a Hattori Hanzo sword from the Kill Bill movies.
3/4 of your followers don't even get that reference. But yeah, what if Ronnie came around and there was no Ronnie Coleman? The world would have exploded, because it's like, I don't even understand. But then what do we do to Big Ramy? Like, oh my God, you look good, but your back doesn't look like Ronnie Coleman.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, we're never going to see another one. People say, well, we'll see another one. I said, maybe, but I'll be dead for 50 years before that happens.
Well, it would be like if Ronnie Coleman's son got into bodybuilding, because this is what I always say to people when they're like, you'll never be like your father, or you'll never look like your father. Who has? Since my father, who really has somehow that waist? It would probably be Keon. Keon's probably the closest thing to having a waist that you're literally looks like you're wearing a screen, but then your lats are so thick and hanging, and then you have flaring quads. So who that Theory Pastel guy, you know, like, you know, stuff like that. But there's like little guys here and there. But my point is that Keon's 200, Theory Pastel was like 200.
Brian Buchanan, remember Brian?
What'd you say?
Brian Buchanan, do you remember him?
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, he was a little bit thicker. Maybe he was around 250 like my dad too. But right, to be my dad's weight, you know, and those dimensions, who has since then? Like, so that's always my response now is yeah, of course I'm not going to look like my father, and neither will anyone ever again. It's just, it is what it is. So if you had Ronnie Coleman's son get into bodybuilding, now he has to look like Ronnie Coleman. Holy shit. Good luck, kid, because your dad literally was the now we know what the max is. We at least figured out what our max was, because we thought it was Marcus Rule, and it was not, because Ronnie Coleman was way bigger. We thought
well, Rami was like 300, close to 300 pounds on stage.
Yeah, but it was just lower body.
Yeah, true. Yeah, and I want to clarify to people, there's a difference between being a child of somebody and being their clone. Two different things. So far as we know, we haven't cloned a human being. So you have a lot of your dad's genetics, but you're not an identical clone.
And does Dexter Jackson's dad not have good genetics? Sean Roden's dad not have good genetics? Lee Haney's dad? There's so many people that probably have good genetics, but their parents also just didn't strip down in posing trunks and compete. Yeah. That's really the only difference. But we think we have this thing like good genetics means muscle builds faster, you know? And look, I've met some guys where I swear to God, they do half the work that I do and they are humongous. So there is those cases, but I didn't get any of those. I promise you, because we just learned for 10 years, I've been doing so much extra and so much more. And it didn't make my lats look any lower. It didn't make my waist look any smaller. I'm born with what I'm born with.
I'm going to try to find the old, because you put up, I got to find the post where you go all the way back to your beginning.
It's the front double by. The front double by I posted. Yeah, and I would say that this front double from FIBO is probably like my favorite front double ever in my career. And again, it was just somebody who caught it on the show.
Look at that, guys. Look at, that's 22 years old. Wow.
It's not on here.
No, not on gear, not on weights.
No. I'm saying it's not on the screen. You can't see it.
Oh, you can't see it? My bad. Thanks, man. Sometimes I make the dumbest mistakes.
You boomer.
Boomer, you know, I understand now that boomer is not technically boomer.
Yeah, so this is good. This is good genetics. No, go back to the other one.
I looked at that. I would say this guy.
Those abs. Tell me those abs are good genetics. That is like
you had love handles. You had no muscle. You had very little muscle. You had like love handles.
Yeah, that's because my hips are big.
I would have said this guy. Forget it, Sergio. I would have said this is not for you, bodybuilding.
Absolutely, I would tell him the same thing. And then this is the first show where I'm 176 in a middleweight class at 6 foot tall.
Jeez. Still natty, I'm guessing here.
This is yeah. This is actually a back double by. You can just see straight through my body.
Yeah, but yeah, I would not have even here. I would have said, yeah, you're okay, but I don't know. You know, I don't know about pro bodybuilder. I don't know.
Yeah.
Here, that was
trying to get my pro card. Still, look at that chest. Horrible.
This isn't when you turn pro. No.
I was trying to go pro.
Was this your first like national show?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you must have been like barely a heavyweight at this point.
Yeah, light heavyweight or light heavyweight.
Yeah, I could see the arms though. The arms definitely filled out a ton. You see the shoulder caps.
I say it all the time. Look at the caps. All the genetics I got from my father are all muscles that don't get judged in bodybuilding.
Caps.
I got forearms, I got arms, and I got calves, and they don't do shit.
I would say the arms do help a lot. In a lot of poses, the arms, they're very, very important.
Not to judges, just to us, it does.
And I could see the biceps. So your dad, I don't know who told me this, but he said, maybe it was Arthur Jones in his writing said, he couldn't even come past the 90-degree angle in the front double bicep because the biceps were so long, they got in the way and he couldn't contract them fully. So he couldn't even really hit the shot right, your dad, because his biceps were so long.
Sounds about right for me too, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can come in at a little bit of an angle, but you don't come in all the way.
Mm-hmm.
Geez, look at those arms. Okay, so thanks for pointing it out that I didn't have it on the screen. Anyway, man, well, I've taken up enough of your time, so we're going to see you one more time before the Olympia. That's about all we can say.
I promise, Ron. And I wanted to say too that I appreciate you and the doctors, just critiquing. I think a lot of guys, when they hear something good about themselves, they want to tell them like, oh, thank you, but you guys are also critical of me. And because you guys know me personally, you know that I can do better. So I just want to say that on the show, when you guys are talking, it's very real. You're not kissing anyone's ass. And you also are not like, really just hurting anyone's kind of like reputation or anything like that, because it's very easy to point out everyone's failures. And then it does make people think like, yeah, you know what? Damn right. He is fucking a piece of shit, and and I think the latter of the two is really great because you're right. When you guys saw that Andrew was jumping in the show, all of your guys' consensus was absolutely true. It wasn't, and you could see too that you were rooting for me you know, and I really appreciated the authenticity of it. That's what I was kind of wanting to get to.
Yeah. I mean, because you could have taken it. I think I made it clear a couple places. I was mad that Andrew jumped in the show because I wanted you to win that show.
Exactly, both were right.
And I'm real. I know. I said unless Andrew's way off, Sergio's not beating Andrew Jack. He's not there yet.
Exactly.
I can't lie.
I shouldn't be. Since the last time I left Dubai and I saw this guy, he has not stopped. I shouldn't beat him, and I shouldn't even be close. Absolutely. And luckily, me and Sasan are actually really close since that New York when we went against each other. We've been talking.
That's right.
Even when he took his break and I took my break, we really, except for him having kids, we really have similar lives. And we've been talking, you know, about when he lost to Bonak and we lost to Andrew. So when he entered, you know, for FIBO, of course we were messing with each other, and we're like, this motherfucker, like, of course, you know. But exactly like what he was saying is and this is what I wanted to talk about. This is the first show I've ever been said that I shouldn't win, if you really think about it. Because like, look at all the shows you just named, that Chicago, that Tampa, the Cal, the Legion, all those second and third places. It's if Sergio doesn't win, he's done. You're supposed to beat the 212 guy. Michael Lockett is literally missing a leg. You know, it's just what's his downside. I should be able to beat him. And Alexis Rodriguez, he wasn't a big bodybuilder, wasn't a big name. The Latinos knew him because he was really good, but he wasn't famous. So every show I've ever done, it's if Sergio doesn't win, it's like really bad. So this is actually the first time, besides the Arnold and the Olympia, that I ever entered a show and not one person had me winning. And it was so weird, Ron. It just made me feel so relaxed. I felt so good. It motivated me so much where it wasn't in like I'm going to show them like how I used to be. Yeah. It was like, if I'm not supposed to win, then anything is a positive. Anything is a bonus. Either like, and that's what Sasan was saying, when he stood next to Bonak, he lost. Everyone was just messaging him about how good he looked and maybe he could have beat him. He kind of left almost as like a co-winner, you know, and even though he didn't get the paycheck, no matter what, that's who people were talking about. And now who were we talking about after FIBO? We weren't talking about Andrew, you know. Sasan's the talk now. Now going into the Cal, now he's the leading person. And it's because he lost to another guy. So it was just the first time that it was very exciting to go into a show. And I know that no matter what, by Wednesday, I already looked the best I ever had. And so I just felt so comfortable. I felt so calm. I almost felt like I was drugged out, like on some kind of like, you know, antidepressant, because it was just so different. I didn't have this anxiety attack backstage. You know, pumping up was a lot easier. But also the chemical peak that I used for the show couldn't have been different. And so maybe the less harsh on my body, the less training, the less cardio was also aiding in that, you know. I'll learn a lot this next show, because this one was just a bunch of firsts. I don't know if it's because my life is good, because I'm happy, I have no pressure for the show. Is it Stefan? So the second show, I'm going to learn a lot, you know, really what's going on with my body and my life. But I feel so healthy, Ron. I trained after a show. You know how long it would take for me to train after a show? I'm so dead. My body and my joints hurt. It would sometimes be weeks and sometimes like a month.
Wow.
Yeah, I would just take time off. I was just so broken that I'm just like, I feel like if I go to the gym, I'm not even going to build muscle. I'm not even going to maintain shit. I'm just literally making my joints even drier. So now I feel good. I'm so ready to go back into it. I'm training again, you know. So we'll see with the next show.
Final question. Have you learned any Spanish?
Un poquito. I can order food like a professional.
Perfect.
But yeah, I'm still not ready to, you know, I told you I want to like promote shows. I'm not ready for that yet.
Yeah, because I mean, in 60 years, we've only had one Latino Mr. Olympia so far. You know, if you went to South America, Central America, Spain, speaking Spanish, they would go goo-goo.
That's all I can do. I'm telling you, Ryan, I just got to win one. Can you tell me who are the only other two Hispanics to ever get close, that they got second place?
Well, I know Victor Martinez.
Uh-huh.
Oh, man. How far back do we have to go for the other one? I'm curious.
Well, it's the only other one ever.
Gustavo got third, 2 years in a row.
Yeah, I think it was fourth, but yeah. No. Close to second. I'll give you a hint. He's Cuban.
Who else is? Oh, Labrada. Yeah. Why do I not think of Labrada as Latino? I don't. He's born in Cuba.
It's so funny. Just remember, me and Hunter are the exact same nationality.
That's right. It's like my kids too.
Yeah, exactly. And Lee was born in Cuba. I mean,
Yeah,
he is
right.
as Cuban as they are, right? For sure. So that's cool that out of the 3 Hispanics to ever come first or second, 2 were Cuban and the other one was Dominican.
Yeah, I mean the best Spanish bodybuilders over the years Dominicans have been pumping out awesome bodybuilders and baseball players for a long time now.
Players, yeah, for sure. So I think it's time for one more, right?
Yeah, I mean, and learn some Spanish, man, because they would just go. They love it when you can speak their language. Any country loves when you can speak their language.
I'm ashamed to my own race. Trust me, I know.
I mean, dude, it would take you.
No, but it is true. It is true, and especially having the exact same name as my dad, like Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, get one of those apps, man. You could, like you probably 10 minutes a day. I bet you'd be speaking it very, very.
Yeah, I do the app. I've done the apps. I've done all of them. I even had Rosetta Stone when it was the CD. The problem is that it teaches you school Spanish.
True.
I need them to make a street Spanish, Spanglish app, and I could be talking to the Cubans and the Puerto Ricans.
Yeah, you know what's funny? Because I took it for 5 years in school, and I was fairly fluent. But then I met my wife a couple years out of high school, and her family, they kind of laughed at the way I was speaking it. And some of the words are like, we don't use that. And the vosotros, there's the way they teach you Spanish in schools is not the way actual Cubans and Puerto Ricans. And
I never used nosotros one time in my life.
Vosotros, yeah. I mean, it's only in Spain, I think, and they probably gave it up 40 years ago.
Yeah, and I learned Spain Spanish is actually different than Latino Spanish. That was also something I learned. That's like Spaniard Spanish. And a lot of the words, like even saying, it was funny, one time I was saying how it was hot. I was actually saying I was horny. And so there's a lot of even differences between Mexicans, Spaniards, and all the Taino Latinos, Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, Cubans, Colombians. So there's 3 different types of Spanishes to even make it even harder.
Now I want to know how you say I'm horny in Spain.
Está
Estoy
mucho caliente.
Okay, you're hot. Okay. Mm-hmm. I always just went hot to say, ay, qué calor, qué calor. So when you learn Spanish the Cuban way, because I can speak, my vocabulary sucks, but I can pronunciate exactly the way the Cubans do, because they eat their words, as the other Spanish speakers say. They don't really finish a lot of the words. Like you'll figure it out.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I don't know the Spanish, but I sat at those coffee shops my whole childhood, so I know.
Oh yeah, I had no idea there were so many Cubans in Chicago. That's a weird thing.
Yeah, they even have a parade where they mix it with the Puerto Rican parade, and it's actually for the Cubans as well, just like New York.
Yeah, I mean, because my daughter's been in Miami for like 3 years now, and there's a substantial Cuban population down there because all the applications for things say Cuban and other, basically.
Well, now thanks to Trump, now all the Cubans are hiding because they voted for him, and now he's getting rid of them.
And that's our next. That'll be our next talk is the politics. Now, screw that. All right, Sergio. Thank you so much. Appreciate the time, and I'm happy you're back. I'm happy to hear you're on a different track and things are going really, really well. Because I swear for a while I thought you must have like broken a mirror or something or walked under a ladder, because a lot of things you said were just bad luck. It's not poor decisions or Sergio's a crybaby. He's late. No. I mean, if you really look at the record of what's happened. There were so many things that were completely out of your control. They just happened to you like a Final Destination movie or something. It was awful.
Yeah, it's okay. I'll change the narrative about me. And the way you do that is by killing it, because exactly it goes from there's always something with this guy. And then if you're good, it turns into there's always something with this guy and he still never quit. It's completely different. So yeah, I'm still here. And look, Ron, I'll tell you, I know that there's a lot of bodybuilders we've both met that they're done. They've been done, and they just, oh my God, they would swear on their life that they're not done. They're quitting their jobs. They're leaving their wives. They're mad at their sponsors or leaving their coaches because it's their fault. But in reality, your body's just not reacting anymore. And you have that old skin. You just can't fix that. I promise you, Ron, I'm coming back.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, you've got a few good years left in you. I want to see you make the most of those. I want to see you take your rightful place in the sport, whether that means winning Olympias, Arnold's, or whatever it means. I just want to see you do what I know you're capable of doing. And I'm glad to hear all the things you've been telling me, because now I'm very, very confident I get to see that finally. Because, I root for certain people more than others. I am biased. And you're one of the guys that I just happen to root for a lot more than many other people for whatever reason. So wishing you the very best.
Thanks, Ron.
All right, man. All right, guys. Thanks for watching this episode of Ron Line Report with Sergio Oliva Jr. We'll see you next